Hi, so today we're going to talk about 3 reasons why we could have had a ruined second date.
What do you mean ruined second date? I didn't ruin the second date.
It was almost a disaster.
Hi, my name's Char with the C.
And I'm Shar with an S.
And we're not here to sell you something.
We're here to share you something.
What are we going to share today?
Lots of information. So it's story time. And today we're going to talk about our second date. And be sure to subscribe, ring the bell, like with a thumbs up, and be sure to watch to the end.
I like it that you said subscribe. When we were practicing, she said scribe. I just knew she was going to say scribe to the video. Anyways, by the way, I'm letting Char say most of the words in this video because I really don't know all the dates. She said, Char, let's do a second date video. I'm like, what? Second date video? What was a second date video? How am I going to talk about a second date video? I don't remember a second date video. So I was pretty much clueless. But the funny thing is, I remember more things like washing the dishes. Hey, you remember those dishes downstairs? And like, hey, grocery shopping. What do we need? I told you what we need. I wrote it down on the list. See, I'm good at that kind of stuff. And like doing the laundry. Hey, there's laundry. There's clean clothes all folded up on the bed. Oh, that's nice. You know, so that's what I'm good for. But anyways, here we go.
Okay, so we're going to talk about our second date. I hope you looked at the video with our first date because then you'll understand our second date. Okay, so
go back and watch that video.
Yeah. So our first date, like I said, we stayed up to around 3 o'clock in the morning talking on the phone after we met at the Passion Play. And then Char had mentioned to me that the next morning early, he had a bodybuilding competition to be in.
That's right.
And
I might look kind of scrawny and skinny, but back in the day, the brother could have some I could do some flexing back in the day. Don't let this little body fool you.
Right. So, but it's kind of funny. I don't know if he remembers this, but I was like, bodybuilding? I was like, I said, I don't like guys that are arrogant, that think they have to walk around showing their bodies.
And I was like, what's wrong with her? She don't want to see my muscles? Thought something was wrong. Right.
So anyway, the next morning, he called me probably around 10 o'clock, and I thought, wow, that's kind of weird because it was really close to the time that he said the competition actually started. And I asked him, well, where has it started? Or he said, no, I wasn't going to go. I told him I wasn't going to see him or whatever.
And I was disappointed. My girlfriend then would come see her man go up there on the stage and start flexing. I wasn't your girlfriend yet. I claimed it in Jesus' name. I said, come on, watch your futuristic boyfriend on stage pumping it.
But anyway, so he told me that he wasn't going to do the competition because, I don't know, he said some of the guys were real arrogant. I don't know what happened. But,
some of the guys.
But anyway.
They're like, you here for what? They looked at me like I was here for what? Like, what do you mean I'm here to bodybuild competition? They looked at me like, no, you ain't here for that. I said, yeah, I was.
So anyway, so I couldn't remember what happened. So anyway, he said, well, did I want to go to the park that day? And I was like, okay. So anyway, the first thing that happened was obviously the bodybuilding contest. That was, his ego was kind of bruised and all that.
Kind of bruised, shattered.
Yeah.
In pieces.
But nevertheless, I asked him if he still wanted to do something that day. And he said, well, he thought maybe we could. So let's go to the park. So, okay, fine. So I told him, I gave him directions to my apartment. And it seems like, which was only maybe 10 minutes from the fitness place where he was, and maybe an hour went by and he wasn't there. So did you call? I think he called me because back then they didn't have cell phones, if you can believe that.
Back in the day, you keep a quarter in your pocket, go to a payphone and make a call.
Right. So he called me and I asked him where he was. He said that he was still there, that he didn't know how to get to my place. And I said, just get on the highway. Well, come to find out, he wasn't comfortable driving on the highway. He had was used to going everywhere using the back streets which, okay, I kind of understood that, but okay, you've lived here your whole life. I haven't.
See, what she didn't know is I pretty much grew up in the rule of the parents' house where I lived at. You know, I was adopted, and my parents wanted to keep me safe. They said, well, don't leave the yard. So my parameter was the yard. So I didn't really know too much outside the yard I lived in. So that's why I didn't really know my way around. I didn't go out too much. My family, we didn't socialize a lot. We just kind of kept to ourselves. So, you know, for some of you that might be kind of strange, but we just didn't go out a lot as a family. So I didn't know where things were too much.
Right. So I thought that was a little strange, but I was like, oh, brother. He was really frustrated and just like, I don't know. He seemed like he was, and he might have almost been in tears because of the competition thing. And then now he was lost. So I just said, oh, brother, I said, I'll come and get you, and then I'll bring you back to my home, so then you'll understand how to get there. So, and
I got a photographic memory, man. I tell you, I remember that.
Yeah. So
that was the one place as the first place of directions I had to get to my girlfriend's house. Well, she says I wasn't her girlfriend, but
right.
I claimed it though.
So anyway, I went and got him, brought him back to my house, showed him where it was, and then we went to the park. And the third thing that happened, you know, we went to the park. We, you know, had a good, I would say, second date. Talked a lot, talked about our lives, some of our hurt and our pain, some of the things that we both were going through. He was newly separated, separated. I was had just moved back from Puerto Rico, starting over, because I had sold everything. So we were just talking about some of our past relationships and some of the things that are pet peeves, and just talked about a lot of things. It was a good second date at the park. So then when we were going back to the car, to his car actually, because we were over there in his car, we saw that the car had got keyed. And that was kind of strange, because we were like, wait a minute, the car is keyed, and who would do that, and why did they do it?
And also, back in the day, they used to, when interracial couples first started, the first name they used to come out with was, you know, what Spike Lee's movie Jungle Fever, whatever. Right. So after that movie, it was like Jungle Fever was the terminology for interracial couples. And if you saw when you say Jungle Fever, right, like that and all that stuff, it's like, well, anyways, that was the mindset back then. And so I looked at the car, and I think somebody who didn't approve of our relationship keyed the car. In fact, I know it did, because there was a big old line starting from the back of the car all the way to the front. It's like, that wasn't just a scratch. That was a, I mean, that was an intentional one. So, yeah. Yeah.
But the weird thing is, I actually used to call interracial couples Jungle Fever. So I remember telling Char at that time when that happened, I said, you know, I think I'm reaping what I sowed, because I used to actually do that, which wasn't right. And so I think I'm reaping what I sowed. So anyway, that was the third thing that happened. So the first was the competition. The second was he got lost coming to my home. And then the third thing was the keying of the car. But even with those three things in one day, it actually ended up being a good date. And we didn't focus too much on the keying of the car.
I didn't really think about it.
Yeah, we just, it was just like, well, why did that happen? It was like, is somebody following us? Are they watching us? We weren't sure. It wasn't anyone when we looked around. But nevertheless, the date actually turned out really good.
Yeah, so we didn't really let that keying of the car mess with anything.
Yeah.
So
after the second date, I felt that, you know, Char was really the one for me. The thing that I really liked about him, even though he was a lot younger than me,
I got a cougar.
I liked his innocence, and I thought he was a little bit naive. I mean, even the thing about him getting lost and not knowing how to, you know, get on the highway to get to my apartment, I just thought that was, it was a little annoying, but I thought it was a little cute too. Also, liked that he had a good sense of humor. He was corny to me, which I didn't like so much, but then he was.
But she says I'm corny, but guess what her favorite snack is? Popcorn. So I just fit right in.
But anyway, so but overall, he can make me laugh, and he still can make me laugh. So I really felt after that second date that Char would probably be my husband, not only because I felt that emotionally or a connection with him. I also felt it because, like I said, the very first time I saw him 5 months prior, before I ever met him, I felt God told me that was my husband. So I knew after that second date that he was going to be my husband at some point.
And you also said you felt God said that I was the one. And that was kind of interesting.
Right.
But see, I felt Char was my soulmate because after the second date, because Char, she's the first person I know that ever accepted me. I was adopted and everything, and acceptance was a big deal in my life. And so she accepted me, Char accepted me, and she challenged me. Not just accept me as I was, but challenge me to go on to bigger and greater things. Some people just accept you, but then don't require that you do any changing.
Right.
I'm not talking about that kind. I'm talking about the good kind of accepting, where you accept somebody and you challenge them to go on. And then she did one more thing that really, made me feel like, wow, this is a really special woman, because she would patiently wait for God, pray for me, and patiently wait for God to make me into that man that He wanted me to be, because I was really rough around the edges and I didn't have a whole lot of common sense. And I'm still working on that part, but getting there. Pray for me, y'all. Anyways, I felt like I could, live with Char the rest of my life. I felt like, really blessed. The Bible says that he that finds a wife finds a good thing. I felt like I found a really good thing. I didn't want to lose the thing that God gave me. So I said, this is it for me. I could probably, pitch tent with her and just hang it up there and hang up the coat and put the saddle down, put the date ring away, and don't have to worry about date ring, whatever it is. You got your date ring when you go to the club. You got the date ring. You put on, yeah, girl, I got this date ring on. I'm pretty. Anyway, or the gold chains that people used to wear. Put the gold chain away, hang it up. Don't have to worry about flashing that thing anymore. Anyways, I'm glad I'm past that, and I pray for all y'all who are dating, because Lord, it's hard these days in the dating world we live in now. So I felt Char had a lot more wisdom and common sense to give me, and I'm just really glad for it, because like I say, she's imparted this into my life, and I really, sometimes I think back and I say, God, there is nobody else really who could have given me what she's given to me. And every day I kind of, I still think about it, and I really feel blessed that I am with Char. So anyway,
thank you.
And I love you.
Oh.
So that's what I felt about my soulmate after the second date. And but now she'll say,
okay, so after the second date, that night, of course, he called and we talked. Now, during this time, especially, of course, because how I was raised, I always allowed the man, Char, to call me. So I waited. He called, and I knew that, like I said, I knew that I liked him. And I wasn't sure about loving him. I just met him. I mean,
sure she was. She was sure about love.
But I thought that was too soon. But I knew that I wanted to be with him. And anyway, Char, he asked me that night, when we did talk again to 2 or 3 in the morning. And so the next day, that day, because it was in the morning, it was Easter, and he asked me if I wanted to go to church with him, and he would pick me up. And so that was to be our third date, and that's the day also he proposed, and we'll talk about that on the next video.
Well, a part 3 of our dating?
Yeah.
We're going to do a part 3? Oh my gosh. I don't even know what in the world are we going to talk about in part?
Well,
I guess you'll find out.
It would just, the video be called Our Proposal.
Ah, the proposal part 3. So you don't want to miss the proposal part 3. All right. So, anyways, I enjoyed Char, taking her to church and everything, and after our second date, I felt comfortable talking with Char, and we had built a little bit of conversation now, and so I felt really comfortable with her talking on the phone. Couldn't wait to go home, get off work. You know how it is. You fall in love with somebody. You can't wait to. What time is it? We go home yet? What time is it? And then you want to get home, and okay, hurry up, get us something to eat or whatever. Get on the phone. Are you there? And sometimes you just call them up and you just sit there and you just breathe on the phone. I mean, all you want to do is just feel someone's presence next to you. That's kind of how it was. I just wanted to just call her on the phone, even if we just breathed on the phone. And we didn't say a word. We just breathed on the phone. So that was kind of boring, right? But anyways, but the funny thing is, I remember checking in with Char, and I said, Char, I say, hey, are you breathing? Are you awake? Because at one point, I didn't hear her breathing anymore. I said, are you asleep? So I thought that was kind of funny, because we did that a lot. We stayed up so long, like she said, 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'm just, tying up the phone lines. Thank you, AT&T. But anyways, we tied up the phone lines and everything, and just doing nothing but just listening to each other breathe on the phone, if that makes sense. I mean, that's a deep connection when that's all you really care about, just being with somebody, just to feel their breath in your ear on the phone. I mean, that's just, I'm a romantic fool sometimes. But anyway, so if you liked our second date video story, hey, do me a favor, subscribe, click that button, and join the family. Ring that bell. Say hallelujah. And you'll be notified about future Love Reconciled videos coming your way. Hey, we got a lot more to share, and you don't want to miss one.
And be sure to like with the thumbs up, and be sure to listen in and look at our video next week on how Char proposed on Easter, which was 48 hours after we met.
Now, did I get on my knees for that one? I guess you'll find out when you watch the video. She's not supposed to tell them.
Sorry.
You'll find out next week when you watch the video.
Okay.
So anyways, thank you for watching. And remember, love God more than anything.
And you'll do right by everything.
We love you. See you next time.